Well, welcome to the Wellbeing Show, everyone. I'm your host, Ken Gustin. Today, even though it's kind of cloudy and gloomy outside, I would like to talk about something that's very important to everybody. And I'd like to talk about proper diet and exercise. If you go see a primary care physician, I hope most of you do, I hope everyone does, they will tell you that the basis for health, I mean, there's other factors too, but one of the main basics of health is proper diet and proper exercise. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. Now, I don't claim to be a guru on this subject, but about 8.5 years ago, I saw four different dietitians, four different nutritionists, and they completely redid my diet. So I'd like to share with you my knowledge of that. I'd like to share with you my knowledge of exercise as well. So just to start off with, it's important for the audience to realize that this is what works for me. Everybody's different. Tom Brady has come out with his views on diet and exercise. A lot of football players, a lot of athletes have. Um, so this is just my opinion on taking care of yourself through proper health habits. So, like I said, everybody's different. Okay. To start off with, I'd like to talk about what I have for breakfast. So, I have a big breakfast. And years ago, I would just have a very small breakfast. I'd have maybe a couple of cups of coffee and some cereal, which is what a lot of people do. A lot of people work, and a lot of people don't have time to sit there and make a big breakfast. Or maybe your wife will make the breakfast, or maybe if you have time, you make breakfast for yourself and the kids, or whatever. Um, but I have a big breakfast every day, and it is a little bit time consuming to make and to eat. It takes me about 20-25 minutes to prepare it and to eat it. So I start off with I like to have a couple of cups of coffee, and I like the dark roast coffee. I like strong coffee. I've always liked strong coffee. When the weather's warm, I drink iced coffee. And they make dark roast coffee. Starbucks makes very good dark roast coffee. And you can buy it. I don't like the sweetened. I like to get my coffee unsweetened. I don't put any sugar in my coffee. And so if I make the iced coffee, I'll put some ice cubes into a glass, and then I'll pour the unsweetened iced coffee, get them in a jar, into the glass. And for when the weather gets cold, I like to have hot coffee. And Nescafe, Taster's Choice, makes very good hot coffee. It's French roast, it's dark roast, and it's strong. And I'll have a couple of cups of that. So that's what I have to drink. I like to have a bowl of cereal, and I like to have whole grain cereal. I like to have Wheaties. I switch off. There's three different cereals. Wheaties. Special K makes a fruit and probiotic yogurt cereal. I like fruit and yogurt cereal. And I also like to have the other cereal I like is multigrain Cheerios. So I have cereal with it. I have a banana. Banana is a very good source of potassium. And I have a waffle. So that's what I have for breakfast. The other thing I have for breakfast with it is Activia probiotic yogurt. And this is something I've been doing for 8.5 years. I like probiotic. All yogurt has probiotics in it, but Activia has more probiotics added to it. So I have that with my breakfast as well. I don't want to get gross here, okay, but I am going to mention this because it's important. It's very important you go to the bathroom every day and have a bowel movement, have a good poop every single day. If you start to get constipated a lot, it can wreak havoc with your whole gastrointestinal system. It's very important you go to the bathroom every day. So this is my opinion, okay? But it's important you go to the bathroom every day. So there's an old adage: breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Lunch. I like to usually have a sandwich for lunch. I like to have it either on whole grain sourdough bread or pita bread. I'll have turkey or tuna, chicken salad. Sometimes I'll have bologna or a couple of hot dogs. But it's very rare because it's processed food, and I don't like eating processed food. It's not very good for you. It's not healthy. All right, I think you could probably get away with eating processed food a little bit, but they really recommend that you don't. So bologna and hot dogs and things like that, I'd probably stay away from it. Sometimes I'll have pasta salad. They make very good pasta salad at the market that I go to. There's a little bit of cheese in it, but it's good. It's a salad, and I'll have that for lunch. Sometimes I'll have a slice of pizza for lunch. Sometimes I'll have a bagel and cream cheese for lunch. I like to go to the beach during the summers, and I don't really have time to have a big lunch. So I'll stop off at Dunkin' Donuts and get a bagel and cream cheese, and that's my lunch until I go out to dinner that night. So that's what I do for lunch. To drink for lunch, I like to get seltzer water that has no sugar. I try and stay away from sugar as much as I can. Now, I do have desserts for dinner, but I try not to eat a lot of sugar at all. It's not, I don't think it's healthy to eat a lot of sugar. So I try and stay away from that. And they make very good seltzer water that doesn't have sugar in it. For dinner, chicken. I can have chicken marsala, chicken parmesan, I like to have that occasionally, and chicken wings. I like that for dinner sometimes. Red meat. Sometimes I have a steak. I like that. The price of beef has gone up, unfortunately. It's gotten very expensive to buy a steak. You go to the market and get a good steak. It's usually about 13, 14 bucks. It's getting very expensive. It used to be it was $9 for a steak. Now it's $10. Now it's even 14. So, but I like to have a steak. Hamburgers, cheeseburgers. I like cheeseburgers in particular. I like to put a bit of cheese on my hamburger and some ketchup. And ribs. I like to have ribs. There's a restaurant down the street from where I live, and they have very good ribs. Again, it's a little bit expensive. I don't like to eat too much red meat because it can clog up your gastrointestinal and cause constipation. But red meat is very important to have some because if you don't, you can become anemic. And your iron, from my understanding of it, your iron level goes down. Okay. I tried being a vegetarian years ago. And my vegetarian diet lasted about 6 months, if I remember correctly. It was back in the late 1980s. And, I was experimenting at the time with different things. And I thought I'd try being a vegetarian because it went against my philosophy to eat animal food. I tried it. I didn't feel good. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to be a vegetarian. A lot of people are vegans. A lot of people are vegetarians. Good for them. I mean, if it works for you, fine. It didn't work for me. And I didn't feel good. And I got very sluggish. I got very kind of depressed. And I didn't feel good. So I remember the first day that I went off my vegetarian diet, I ended up in a sub shop in Waltham and started eating meatball subs, if I remember correctly, steak and cheese subs. I couldn't do it. I tried being a vegetarian. I wasn't able to do it. But listen, if it works for you, fine. If you find that you're getting enough nutrition, enough nutrients in your diet, being a vegetarian, well, then that works for you. It's up to you. All of this is up to you. I mean, I'm not restricting you. I'm not saying that, you should follow my guidelines to the letter. It is up to you. Whatever works for you. But I, like I said earlier, I just want to share my knowledge of all this, my habits, and hope that it helps. I eat a lot of seafood. So the main two staples of my diet are chicken and seafood. I like eating seafood a lot. A lot of Italians like eating seafood. So if you go to a good Italian restaurant, they have seafood all over the place. You can get seafood platters, you can get seafood pasta, but I like different kinds of seafood. So I eat a lot of salmon. Now, salmon, Atlantic salmon, has omega 3s, which is very, very healthy. So I usually, when I eat fish, I usually eat salmon. And I usually eat a slice of salmon, usually every 4 days. I try not to eat too much tuna fish, however, even though that's sort of salmon-like, because tuna has mercury in it, and that's, from my understanding of it, it's not healthy. But Atlantic salmon doesn't, my knowledge of it is that it doesn't have mercury in it. So I have a lot of salmon, Atlantic salmon. Scallops, calamari, I like calamari. If you go to a good Italian restaurant, you can start off with an appetizer of calamari. Haddock, shrimp, trout, clams. I like clams. Nova Scotia salmon. I like that. Now, Nova Scotia salmon is very expensive. If you go to a good restaurant and you order Nova Scotia salmon, they don't give you a lot, and it's expensive. It can run you $78, $78 for Nova Scotia. And so the caviar, which is good fish, but that's out of my price range. I don't eat caviar. I don't think I've ever had caviar in my life. I know that people like it, so I put it on the list, but I've never had caviar. I barely have enough for the rent. I'm not going to sit here and have caviar. I like to avoid raw fish, and that includes oysters and sushi. I think my understanding of it is a little bit dangerous, so you can get sick from raw fish. So I try and avoid it. Now, this is something I know a lot about. I like to eat pasta. And most Italian people like to eat pasta. Pasta is a really, really nutritious thing to eat. The only problem is that it's very fattening. And it may explain why a lot of Italians put on weight. I shouldn't say that, but not all Italians put on weight, but sometimes they do. And a lot of times they eat a lot of pasta, and that's what puts the weight. I like to eat fettuccine. I like to eat linguine. And I like to eat ziti. They have tortellini pasta at the market. That's something I'm kind of experimenting with right now. It's a big package. It's a family style of tortellini pasta. Come in little rolls, and I have some chicken in it. And I mix that up with I boil it in water, and then I mix that up with pasta sauce. And man, does it taste good! Oh my God! But it is fattening. That's why I said it's kind of an attraction in your diet that you got to be careful of. I like to mix my pasta sometimes with clams, with mussels, and with scallops. If you go to a good Italian restaurant, you can get clams, mussels, and scallops with it. So, I like pasta. Now, this is very important. Vegetables and fruits. If you're going to eat raw vegetables and raw fruits, you got to wash them thoroughly. Run them under cold water for about a couple of minutes, and you'll be okay, in my opinion. But you have to run them under cold water. Otherwise, you can get sick, because you don't know who's handled it, you don't know where the fruit's coming from, you don't know where the vegetables are coming from. So if you can do it, I mean, you can't run a banana under cold water. It's not going to, you don't have to do that, or an orange or anything. But if you're buying an apple, or if you're buying any raw fruits or vegetables, you should run them under cold water first. Okay. I try and eat greens some form of vegetable every day, mostly greens, and that includes green beans, salads, peas and carrots, or mixed vegetables. So you can get these frozen if you want, and then I just put them on a plate and stick them in the microwave, and I heat it up. It takes a minute. But it's important to have vegetables in your diet, and fruit too. So sometimes I'll have a salad with other veggies in it. We ordered from a restaurant on my roommate and I on how was it? It was Saturday, and they had a really good salad there, and they made the salad good. Most you can go to a sub shop even. You don't have to go to a fancy restaurant. You go to a sub shop. They if it's a good place, they'll probably have good salads and stuff. And we like to have it with balsamic dressing, vinaigrette dressing. Um, my roommate and I are both lactose intolerant, so we don't eat a lot of cream dressing. You can have ranch dressing, but that's cream. We don't like that so much. What we usually get is balsamic dressing, the vinaigrette. We like that. Okay. The other thing you can get with your salad is a Cobb salad. And they'll make you a chicken Cobb salad, which is really good. And they put grilled chicken on the salad. And that's very good. You can get that at most supermarkets. So like I said, I was not a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for a while, but I stopped doing it because I just didn't like being that way. But that's up to you. So, fruit. Like I said earlier, I have a banana every day for breakfast, every single day. That's my habit. And then I have either an orange or an apple, usually once a week. And that's important to me. Oranges have vitamin C. Apples have all sorts of other nutrients. Apples are very good for you guys from the intestinal system. I don't eat a lot of blueberries. My roommate eats a lot of blueberries, puts blueberries on his cereal. I don't know. If you like blueberries, fine. You can have some. They're very nutritious. They have antioxidants in them. They're very good. Peaches. During the summers, I'll eat peaches. Cantaloupe. I like cantaloupe. When I was a kid, my family used to go to upstate New York, and they used to have all these fruit stands over there, and we'd stock up on fruit and bring it home, and strawberries and cherries and grapes and bananas, and oh my God, we were in heaven. Dairy products. It's very important to have milk and cheese. When I have my cereal in the morning, there's milk in there. It's also important to have cheese. Now, this is important for calcium for teeth and bones. However, okay, and this is a big however, cheese can be very, very constipating. And if you eat too much cheese, you can have a bad reaction, you can tie up your gut. Now, cheese, however, in moderation is very important because it will give you continence. It will stabilize your stomach. So I think it's very good to have some cheese in your diet. Beverages. It's important to drink water, especially in the heat. We talked about carbonated seltzer water. Talked about that. I don't like drinking lactose, anything with lactose in it. Lactose is a chemical that's in most creams and milks, dairy products. So if I drink milk or cream, I usually have lactose without lactose. They're called Lactaid, and they have no lactose in it. I try and eat at home mostly. We usually go out to dinner no more than twice a week. And I try not to eat lunch outside either, more than once a week. Okay? Restaurant food tastes very good, but the way it's prepared has a lot of oil and a lot of grease in it. And so you should avoid restaurant food if you can. And eat at home as much as you can. This is just my opinion. Okay. When you buy food, you should check for fat and calories, sodium, cholesterol. You'll see it on the packages. And listen, eat what you want, as long as it's reasonably healthy. And be conscious of food, but not obsess over it. And like I said, there's an expression, you are what you eat. So that's all my knowledge on diet. Now, we're going to talk about something else here. Now, talk about exercise. Good exercise, good enough exercise promotes physical and mental health. And it's very important not to be sedentary. Sedentary means you're not getting enough exercise. You're sitting around the house a lot. You shouldn't be doing that. Exercise releases a chemical in the brain called endorphins. And endorphins can usually put you in a good mood. I try and go to the gym once a week. For the last couple of months, because of my financial situation and the weather being kind of cold outside, I've not been able to go to the gym as much as I like to. But I try to go to the gym once a week. And I'll talk about what I do at the gym a little bit. First of all, I go to a very inexpensive gym. I go to Planet Fitness, which is in Watertown. Yeah, Planet Fitness is all over the place. And it costs me $10 a month. I think the price now is $15 a month. And it went up. But there's aerobic exercise, which is like doing cardiovascular. It's for your heart. Aerobic exercise like jogging or walking or using a bike. And anaerobic exercise is to build muscle tone. And anaerobic exercise is like Nautilus or weights. So there's other options besides going to the gym. Walking. If you're going to just walk, I try to walk about 15, 20 minutes a day. Now look, if you're out and around a lot and you're walking to the bus stop or you're walking to go from the bus stop or from the train to where you're working, that may be enough. But if you're just sitting around the house, it's very bad. Swimming. Swimming is very healthy. And biking. So I just want to share with you something that happened to me back in 2014. I was not going to a gym, and I was getting very little exercise. I didn't leave the house. I left the house a little bit, but I wasn't out and around. I was not really doing all that much with my time. And my roommate came to me, Chris, and he said, Ken, if you don't get off the sofa, something's going to happen to you. And I looked at him, I said, well, what could happen to me? I got my books, I got my movies, I'm in relatively good health. What could happen to me? And all of a sudden, I got major pneumonia. I had 104 temperature. I could not stand up. I could not walk. I ended up in the hospital for 3.5 days. And it was really bad. And I recovered eventually. I ended up in the basement of a nursing home. And they had a rehab section in there. Now, thank God my health insurance covered all this. And they got me finally on a walker. So eventually I was walking around after a week or so. And then eventually they got me on a cane. And I was at the nursing home for 2.5 weeks, and then I came home. Now, thank God I was treated well in all these places, but it was a big ordeal. There was a home health care person who came over to take care of me after that, and he came over to the house for another 3 months. His name was Rudy, and he was a nice guy. And he came over and he helped me to check in on me. He took my blood pressure, made sure it was okay. The first thing I did when I got home was join a health club, a gym. And I've been basically, aside from the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, when I did take some time off from it, I have been going to a gym ever since. I have not gotten pneumonia since, or a bad cold, or anything else. I think I've gotten 1 or 2 colds, but nothing, I didn't end up in the hospital from it or anything. So exercise is very important. And a lot of times people will get a gym membership for Christmas, and their New Year's resolution is, I'm going to go to the gym. And they turn and say, what do I need to go to the gym for? What good will it do me? Why do I need to do it? I can get away with not going. And then all of a sudden something happens. As long as you're not leading a sedentary lifestyle, as long as you're doing something, whether it be a gym or swimming or walking, something, I think you'll be okay. Anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. And I did recover from pneumonia eventually. But man, what an ordeal. And I was a relatively young man at the time. How old was I? It was 2014, so I was 50 years old. And I was in basic good health up until then. So, listen, live and learn, as they say. So, that's about my knowledge, about diet and exercise. I hope it helps everyone. It's not, it's not something that's really difficult to learn. It's a very easy thing to learn. But I've learned the hard way, and I wanted to share it with you. So, just in conclusion, diet and exercise helps build immunity to disease, and that includes the flu, the common cold, pneumonia, heart problems, cardiovascular problems, and even cancer. There was this guy was a teacher in a school. It was a college, and there was about 35 students in the classroom. And he went around the classroom and said, "How many people have had health concerns in the last couple of years, last 5 years?" And like 1/3 of the group raised their hands. He said, "How many in the group have not really exercised all that much or eaten correctly?" And the same people who had a major health concern raised their hands when asked if they're not eating, they're not watching what they eat and getting enough exercise. It was the same group of people mostly. So there's a direct correlation between taking care of yourself through diet and exercise and keeping in good health. So just to close up here, William Shakespeare, I guess everyone knows who William Shakespeare is, once said, "Our bodies are our gardens to which our wills are gardeners." And that's very profound. And he was a very profound man. He was a good writer, too. I wish people listened to Shakespeare more. He was a bright man. Thank you, everyone. This has been the Wellbeing Show. I'm your host, Ken Gustin. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.